This creator that I'm going to be talking about is a pretty popular creator. I ended up taking one of her classes last week where it shows you how to, she shows you how to create a AI twin, a brand twin. And I was particularly drawn to this because I'm not the biggest fan of AI images of myself, especially when it's supposed to look realistic, because I feel like it always does like this very weird thing to my face. It never gets my face right. And sometimes it doesn't even get my race right. Like I'll end up being a white woman. I've been Asian, like everything but who I am. So I have a lot of skepticism when it comes to AI and it looking realistic. But I have been seeing her posts and and all of her images look so good. They look like she went and did a photo shoot. And so it didn't have that same like illustrative look to it, where it looks like animation. It just looked regular. It looked good. And so I was interested. I was intrigued. I wasn't really sure how it was going to be relevant for my business moving forward just because of how I felt about it, but I was willing to give it a shot. So I ended up taking her class and I learned a lot about how important it is to be descriptive and the importance of being able to have a vision of what you want so that you can articulate that vision and see it come to life. And that is one of the coolest things to me about aesthetic thinkers is their ability to really like take their imagination and they see things so vividly. That's the way I wanted to describe it last night, and I wasn't able to. They're so vivid in what they imagine and what they come up with, so that when it comes to the execution of it, they're very particular and they are so precise. And so I love being able to see them in their element and being able to appreciate what they can provide for us as people who are not aesthetic thinkers. So her handle across all platforms, if you want to check her out, if you haven't heard of her, her name is Kendra Tall Official. I believe it's Kendra Tall Official across all platforms. And she was formerly known as the Social Docs. And she became popular for doing Canva tutorials. So she would show you how to make some really fire graphics using Canva. And her big thing was one, making it accessible to other people, like showing you that it may like giving us a level playing field when it comes to design, and really giving business owners more control over their brand assets, over how they look, and just creating better assets overall, because no matter what you put out, it's always going to be a reflection of your brand. And so she would often talk about how you don't need to have the creative suite in order to make good graphics, and that basically, who told you that you can't make good things on Canva, that you can't design dope things on Canva? And so that's how she became really popular. And even now to this day, she is still carrying that same energy of why not? Like, who said that you can't make this look good? Who said that you can't use this tool to your advantage? So I'm really interested. I'm really excited to get into her creative thinking style, because it is a combination of the aesthetic thinker, which I believe to be her dominant one, and a lateral thinker, which is the pattern breaker. So she is in a very unique position that I want to break down for y'all so that you can see what this looks like played out, how she can take this and take her brand even further. I have some things that I see as a very strong direction that she can take this in to continue to scale this particular idea and to take how she shows up herself, like her personal brand, to a new level as well. So I'm gonna get into some of the ideas that I have for her, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like and why this combo is so powerful, and why I believe she has seen so much success and operating this way because she's tapped into her creative thinking styles, whether she realizes it or not. So the aesthetic and the lateral thinker, this combo produces creators who first lead with visual credibility. So the fact that you can back up your results, show, not just tell, that is one of the strengths of an aesthetic and lateral thinker. Another one is they question inherited assumptions, the belief that you have to, what is it, the belief that you have to that you can't make good graphics on AI, or that all AI work looks generic or it looks bad. Assumptions like that, she naturally questions those. Being able to reframe tools rather than rejecting or hyping them up. So it's not about you should use AI or defending AI. It's about showing you that you might just not know what this is capable of, or you may not know how to use this correctly, but also I'm not going to make it more than what it is. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be clear about what the benefits could be for you. And I'm going to show you that you may have been perceiving it incorrectly, or you may have made assumptions about it. Another thing that they are skilled at doing, this combo, is making unconventional ideas feel safe. So they make you feel like it's safe to try something new, to try something different, to try something that may be a little out there. And they do that by demonstrating it, by showing you first. So it's a really cool combo, and I like that it reminds me of an artist. Like, this is what artists do. They create things that bring up emotions, that stir people up, that challenges the status quo, that switches up what people normally assume or believe. And I love that she is doing it visually and also audibly, because she does talk about it, but she's showing you as well. Like, it's she's demonstrating the possibilities of taking these tools and looking at them, reframing the way that you view them, and showing you how to use them to your advantage. So I want to talk about one of the things that is very important for anyone who is a creative, especially if you are an entrepreneur, and that thing is trust. Trust is one of those things that we absolutely have to be, we have to understand how precious it is. And it's not necessarily fickle, but if you can get people to trust you, if you show people that you're trustworthy, then you have them brought in, like you have them hooked. I don't want to use it, I don't want to like sound like you, like, baited them or nothing like that, but you got them on the hook. If you can get them to trust you, you got them on the hook. And that is the biggest hurdle that you are going to experience when it comes to growing your business and marketing yourself and your products. So I want to talk about what trust looks like and how it shows up, and how she can maintain trust as an aesthetic and lateral thinker. And if this is your combo, this is going to also be relevant to you as well. So the first one that's important, action that she needs to make sure that she keeps at the core, is preserving legitimacy. So visual quality signals professionalism and care. And she does this by showing you what she does with these platforms, with Canva, with AI. She puts her work out there for you to see, and that serves as credibility, and that makes her legit. So the audience's brand, because they see the care and the intention that she puts into what she does, that they feel like that same care and trust will be given to my business, to my brand. So by basically showing how she treats her company, how she treats her image, communicates to others that this is somebody that's going to care about mine too. And that is a very easy way, a very simple way, rather, to build trust. The other thing is that she reframes the problem. reframing the problem, it positions her as an expert, for one, as an authority rather. Doesn't have to be an expert, but it positions her as an authority. And instead of saying that you were wrong, she shows that the assumption was incomplete. And what is powerful about that is it's not negating how you feel about these platforms, about AI, especially because of how touchy that topic is and how divisive it can be. And so it doesn't point the finger at you and say you were wrong and this is why, but it shows you maybe you just didn't realize that this what you could do with it. These are the options that you have, or you just didn't have the information that I have. Let me share this with you and give you another perspective, another way of looking at this. And so being able to open people's minds up to something new and different is a very powerful and impactful way to build trust. The other thing is that she proves rather than persuades. And I am partial to this method because I love being able to just show you. Like, I want you to see for yourself that this is what's possible. I'm walking it out, I'm living it out. And that's what she does as well. And so the outcome of going to her workshops, the outcome of working with her is visible because she shows it through the work that she posts. Designs the graphics. She uses the tools and the resources and the strategy that she shares. And this is give the trust is developed through observation, not authority. So I don't have to tell you. I'm gonna show you. That's what is going to be recurring throughout this entire case study. I'm not just going to tell you, I'm going to show you. So most times creators are only doing one or two of these things, but this type does all three, and that is a perfect recipe to not only to build trust, but it also honestly leads to the acceleration of it, because the more people trust you, the more they're going to tell other people about you, and then the more those people tell other people about you, and it multiplies from there. And so when you are holding trust at the center and developing that trust, that is it's a powerful move, y'all. So those are the three things that she does already, and I would suggest continuing to do. But also for you, as the person who may align with being an aesthetic thinker, even if you're not aesthetic and lateral thinker, those are all things that you're uniquely positioned to do as an aesthetic thinker. So lean into the show more than you tell, at least as often as you tell. I think that for some people, especially aesthetic thinkers, you probably will lean more to the show instead of the tell. I would only caution that it's still important for your voice to be heard. And I mean that literally. And sometimes it is more effective in just getting your point across and being able to be direct. And that is especially important when it comes to selling. Um, Having both of those, the visuals is one form of credibility, and then talking about it is where you can present the authority and thought leadership, and together that is a very powerful combo. So I won't go too much further into that, but just know that show and tell, but you may need to be showing more than you're telling right now. And as an aesthetic thinker, that's your bag. Okay. So here are the things that have accelerated her trust. The key things that she's done that makes her business, who makes her brand so powerful. The first thing is challenging beliefs without triggering fear. So you know how you can have marketing, you can see content that makes it's fear mongering, basically. Hey, happy Wednesday. Is fear mongering. So it's not like sure, like they'll bring up something and challenge your beliefs, but then they'll also put things in your mind that make you even more afraid. And so a lot of that is very prevalent in marketing. If you've ever watched a video and it you left feeling worse, but then you also felt this sense of urgency, that is what it's designed to do. And you were likely manipulated. and I'm not trying to make light of it. Like it happens. It happens. Like we've all fallen victim to somebody making us feel bad into buying something. Like it's just so common in our media that it would be hard to find somebody that hasn't fallen victim to it. But what she's able to do is to challenge those beliefs that you have about AI, this is the example that we're using, and showing you that you may not have considered it this way, or you may not have considered this perspective, but I don't have to make you feel fearful that if you don't hop on this AI train, you're going to lose your job, or you are going to you're going to be so far behind, and everyone's going to leave you. Like you're going to be struggling in your business 5 years from now because you didn't learn how to use AI. Like there are things that people could say to like light a fire up under you to make the purchase, but I that is not the feeling that I got from it. It made me feel curious to learn more. I was a little skeptical. Can this really work? Can I really figure this out? And I entered it feeling like I had the opportunity to explore something new. I didn't feel like if I didn't do this now, if I didn't learn this skill now, that my entire business was going to go up in flames. like, like I didn't get that sense. And so that is a very powerful way to build trust with people. You absolutely should feel um I'm not gonna say you should feel confident. Like it's okay if you don't feel confident doing it, but you should still be challenging people. And that is something that I feel, and even in regular relationships and regular conversation, when there's somebody that can challenge me or somebody who can have me look at things differently, that immediately makes me trust them a little bit more than the person who's just telling me everything that I want to hear. Like yes, encourage me. Yes, like don't you ain't gotta beat me down or tear me down and build me back up. But I do want to feel like, like you're not just telling me what I want to hear. Like you're not coddling me, you're not patronizing me. And so that's the first one, the first reason why um her trust has accelerated her business the way that it has. So, the second thing that builds audience trust is validating audience frustration. And there is something that is so powerful in creating things that make people feel seen. And it makes them feel like there is somebody who understands what they're going through. And even at that point, even if you don't present a product, or if you don't make a sale, just that part right there alone will get people to just want to follow you. They'll want to be around you. They'll want to be connected because now they feel like they have found someone who gets them, who understands them. And so that's if when you hear people talk about being relatable, or when you hear them talking about being able to connect with people, that is what they're talking about, validating their frustration. So she doesn't talk about people and make them feel like they're inexperienced or behind when it comes to AI. All levels of experience are welcome in her workshops. Anybody. There is no level, there is no berating or making you feel like, well, where you been? Why you ain't did this yet? It's validating because again, this is an industry, this is an area where you got people on both sides. You got people who really hate it. You got people who love it. And then I think that there are more people who are they have the things they like about it and the things that they don't. So you have more people who are kind of in the middle. So being able to speak to them, validate their feelings, validate their frustrations is important, because now you're not telling them you're failing. You're telling them that you were just missing something. You were just missing a piece. This is just what you didn't understand about it. And so even with validating the frustration and talking to the people who maybe have tried it before and it just didn't work out, and they ended up having AI that made them look like a bobblehead. Or every time they used it, they turned into a white woman, like I mentioned happened to me earlier. So just being able to validate how they validate their frustrations wherever that is another key way to build trust. And in this case, it has accelerated her business. So the next one, the next key trust factor that accelerated her business was dissolving false binaries. Okay. And so instead of choosing a side, she collapses the oppositions. So let me reframe this in a way. Let me rephrase it so that it doesn't sound so like lofty. So it brings together, it like merges the worlds. So you have people who are maybe really proficient in AI, very experienced, they love it, they know it. And then you have people who don't even have chat GPT, who don't even have who have never used it before. And you have them coming together to show that no matter where you are, you have the capabilities to do this. Like, you can learn this. So it's about making it accessible and not necessarily price wise, although hosting workshops teaching this is definitely an accessible option for people to learn it, and they are at an accessible price point. But overall, it feels like it's like democratized, that the playing field has been made level, so that people don't feel like they're too inexperienced, or I don't know enough coding to do this, or I'm not very proficient with X, Y, and Z. All of those things don't matter in her world, in her space, because she is able to show you what that looks like no matter where you fall on the spectrum. And it is not only a really great way to build trust, it's also a very empowering thing to do. And when you make people feel empowered, you again got them on the hook. You got them on the hook. Once you show them that they're capable of more than what they thought that they were, no matter what it is, y'all, no matter how big, no matter how small, you have got them locked in. Okay. Y'all go together real bad now. And so that's what she's been able to do. And then when it comes to Adrian, hey, happy Wednesday. And when it comes to the some of the other binaries, um, the whole concern with AI ruining your brand, which it can. Okay, it absolutely can. It has done some damage to the perception of a lot of people, because they're not, they don't know a lot about it. They're not using it effectively. I'll just put it that way for now. And so being able to show that it doesn't have to be AI or um strong brand, that it can be AI and it can still protect your brand. Your brand can still have the integrity, the look, the aesthetic that you built before AI. And it doesn't have to be one or the other, because of the things that she shows you to help you to get it to create what it is that's in your mind. Or the binary of, do I be playful, or do I need to be professional and buttoned up so that people can take me seriously? I have to pause there because I literally just had an experience like that, y'all. I posted this video last night. Actually, I posted the video this morning. I recorded it last night, and it was so interesting because I'm not like this super serious person, but people really think that I am. And it's like boggles my mind because I'm like, I feel like I'm always smiling in my content. I'm always laughing. I be telling a little joke here and there. I'm not a comedian, but I got a few jokes, so I be so confused. And so I had a moment last night because I was making this video and it was so silly, y'all. Like I was being so silly. I was attempting to recreate those Barbie memes. Y'all know which ones I'm talking about? The black Barbie memes. And like 90% of them, she looks like incredibly stressed out in various situations in life. But there's the ones I'm thinking of are the ones where she's partying, party Barbie, and she's partying like super hard, and she's got like this face where she's like, and so she's like really like getting it, like she's like dancing like her life depends on it. And so I have been tickled, tickled by these memes. So I wanted to try to recreate it using this new light that I got. And so I recorded the video and I had so much fun recording the video. And then I take all the clips and I go to edit it. And I started feeling so cringy watching myself do this dance. I was dancing so hard. I was dancing so hard. And as I was like looking at it, I was like, "Oh my goodness. Oh, I think I flew a little too close to the sun with this one, guys. I don't know if this is going to actually make it out the drafts." I was I was like, I don't know if I want to be that vulnerable." It felt vulnerable. So I had to sleep on it. I had to sleep on it. I wanted to post it last night and I was like, uh, um, let me think about it. Let me make sure this is the part of myself I want to show people. You said it's my confidence, Kayla. It says don't play and people come correct. I'll take that. I'll take that. I think just hearing that like people think that I'm so serious. I'm like, what is it? But in that moment, I said that to say that in that moment, I realized like I was censoring myself. And I was like, I wonder how many times I've done that like subconsciously and just didn't trip off of it. And so one of the things that I thought, going back to the playful, incredible thing, one of the things that I thought was if I post a video of me being this silly, will people take me seriously when I talk about serious stuff? And that was a thought that I had. And I was like, wait a minute, why do I feel like that? And to a certain extent, there is still there's this like this perspective that people often have of people that are silly and people that are funny, literally comedians, and knowing how hard it is at times for them to be able to not be funny, and people still pay attention to what they're doing and listening to them. um there was this, I want to stay on track, but I really want to tell this story too. They're like duking it out. They're duking it out. If I once I get to the end, I'm gonna save that story and I'm gonna tell y'all about that. Okay. So somebody remind me at the end and I will tell you the story. And I'm gonna keep on going for now. But the idea that you can be playful and be credible, that you don't have to just be super serious, super buttoned up just because you are a business owner, just because you're an entrepreneur. And so being able to dissolve those binaries without people feeling like they have to conform or they have to abandon their identity to adopt a new tool. Those are things that are really important because people's identities are wrapped up in these decisions. Our identities are wrapped up in our business. Whether, no matter how many times people say it's just business, it's not personal. And to a certain extent, I have said things to the effect of you not internalizing the results, but to say that you can completely separate yourself, we're too close to it to do that. Our identity informs everything that we do. So that includes the choices that we make in our business. And so being able to, then you don't have to go too deeply into identity work. That's not everybody's lane. However, knowing that but their decisions actually mean more than what people do on the surface. Like there's more to it than just what you see on the surface. So it's important that you are aware of that and you are sensitive to that so that you are able to build that trust with people. Here you go. So the next one, okay, I won't forget. I won't forget. The next one, the next we're talking about the key things that have built her trust, that have accelerated her trust. The next one, number 4, is freedom as a credibility signal. So she encourages experimentation, rather than a rigid format, a rigid structure that you have to follow. And the workshop itself, it gave me that feeling of here are some best practices. Be descriptive, be clear on what you want this image to look like, and like things like that. I won't go too far into it because she does charge for that class, but things like that. But what you actually create, what we actually put into it, was for us to explore and for us to determine for ourselves, and that was encouraged throughout the class. And so her thing, one of the things, like one of the principles that she follows, is that I want to communicate this so deeply so that you can understand it, and then feel free to make it your own. Have the freedom to have this expressed in a way that is true to you, that makes sense. You don't have to copy me in order to understand it. And I think that something like that is definitely more my speed, is is more my speed in most cases. And so being able to have that reiterated and that space created where I know what to do when I have an idea that wasn't what was shown to me, I still feel empowered to take what I was taught and make it work for me. And so the audiences learn. Audience, you build trust with your audience when you encourage them to deviate from what it is that you gave them. I gave you this, now you make it your own. It's yours now. Like when the person that's teaching you is not threatened by you branching off and adding your own flavor to it, that is an incredible way to build trust with people. And there are a lot of people that are not doing that, you know? It's not a lot of people doing that. Number 5, and the key trust builders that have accelerated her, is calm positioning between fear and hype. And she sits at a very, like a very good, I want to say it's like an intersection of fear and hype. And I think that it's inevitable when it comes to the topic. Like I said, we're talking about AI. Everybody is not on the same page. Everybody does not have the same beliefs with it. There is a lot about it that elicits very strong feelings from people. And so being able to talk about it without leaning too far into fear mongering, but also not leaning so far into the hype that you don't have anything negative to say about it, or that you're not acknowledging its shortcomings. That's the person that people can trust. And so in a lot of spaces, when it comes to tech, you got people who are like, they go hard for it. They're like evangelists when it comes to AI, and they're going to ride for it till the wheels fall off. And then you have other people who are like, it's a hard no, it's unethical, don't do it. I can't believe that you would even try it. And then on the positive, on the pro for AI, because it's not just fear mongering for people against it. It's also fear mongering on, if you don't do it now, you're going to be, 10 years from now, you're going to look up and everybody's going to be ahead of you. And listen, y'all, there is a lot. There's a lot of valid points no matter where you fall on that. And so navigating that space is very tricky by itself, but it can be especially tricky for people who want to you want to be responsible, you want to do good. You're not trying to destroy anything or be malicious, and you see this tool, you see AI as something that can help people. And so you have this desire to show them, but it can be a challenge to not go too far on either side in an effort to demonstrate what it is that you feel is a benefit about it. Is that making sense? I hope it is. I was trying to be delicate with my words there, and I hope the meaning didn't get lost in it. But it ultimately just means that it is a very even, realistic, fair stance, but it's not one where she's like wavering on how she feels about it. She's still very firm, and I like it. It works for me. I see the benefit in it. And if you don't, then you don't. If you do, and you're maybe apprehensive, I can show you what that looks like and you can make the decision for yourself. Yeah. So let me see what you're saying, y'all. So those are the five things that the five key trust accelerators that I've observed in her that has made her brand one that is, I mean, the growth, y'all, really is unreal. Is unreal how she just like took off the way that she did. But yeah. So let me see. Adrian says, I love that. Exactly. Feeling free to make it your own shows more than skills were acquired, but also courage, curiosity, and creativity. Yes. Kayla says AI holds a lot of gray areas, so it's definitely something that needs transparency on both sides of the truth. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. So, yeah, it is you got to be very courageous. You got to be very courageous to not only talk about it but to create an entire product around it. So yeah, y'all do me a favor, we're about to get into why all of this matters when it comes to AI and design. So before I get into it, do me a favor and like the live if you haven't already. um like the live, and if you're enjoying it and you're able to tap the hearts, all of that helps to get the live stream put out. And it's so cool to be able to like get off the live and see that you already have likes on a video. That I love that feeling. Okay, so let's see. Adrian says, to me, I'm also hearing that she views her audience as intelligent and capable of making decisions for themselves. Yes. Yes, that is a very good distinction, and that comes across in her messaging. Yep, it does. It does. Like, you don't feel like yeah, you don't feel like you're being babied, you don't feel like it doesn't feel patronizing. It feels empowering. It feels like you are given enough information to make a choice for yourself, but you also understand where she stands on it. And her stance is firm, which also builds trust, whether people like it or not. Whether they decide that I'm not for AI, so I won't join your workshop, they can still respect the fact that I'm standing on this is what I believe. Like people have to respect it, whether they are on the same side as you is not. So all of those things are very powerful ways for you to be able to build trust. Sorry, I'm late. Who are we talking about? Hey, Audrey. We are talking about Kendra Tall, formerly known as the Social Docs. I took one of her AI brand AI twin classes, and she is the topic for today's case study. So she is an aesthetic thinker with a lateral secondary. And so I'm talking about how that shows up. And we are now getting into why this matters in AI and design. So, the AI, with AI, we've talked about this already. So, this is going to be slightly reiteration, but AI triggers a fear of shortcuts. So, that's what a big one, especially when it comes to creatives and creative work. Anxiety about authenticity, that was a personal one for me. Not necessarily, I guess, that's the closest one anyway. Like, it's not necessarily about authenticity. It was about feeling misrepresented when the AI would disrespect my face and make me look like a bobblehead. That really happened. That really happened to me. So I feel a way about that, but I'm not going to rant on it. We're going to keep on going. The other concern that it can trigger is concerns about brand dilution. And that was what I was touching on earlier when I said that some people's brand trust has been damaged. I won't say it's irreparable, but it has been damaged by AI because of the way that they're using it and a lack of information on how to use it effectively. And for me, a lot of times I just notice that you aren't sure what your brand is. So when you're not sure what it is, how can you create assets to represent it? So that's a big one too. So it's a whole mishmash of what goes into that, but those are some of the big ones. And so, as an aesthetic thinker and a lateral combo, she is uniquely positioned by the way that her brain just naturally works, to touch on protecting visual identity, which is a very, very big thing for her. Anything that I've seen is always been pristine. And even the stuff, her early work, still pristine. And it is done in excellence and it continues to get better. I want y'all to catch that. Everything that she's done has been done in excellence and it continues to improve over time. So you can have both, right? And that's me kind of like a callback to me, the series I did on perfectionism and how it's impacting your creativity, how it's blocking your creativity. And we talked about the difference between perfectionism and excellence, right? If y'all remember that, if you saw that video, you know what I'm talking about. So, another thing that she's uniquely positioned to do is reframe the narrative around AI. And this is the one that I think can be taken up a notch even more. And I'll talk about that when I get into the directions that I see her being able to go into. The other thing that she's able to do and relieve the tension around is demonstrating that quality is a thinking problem, not a tool problem. A thinking problem, not a tool problem. So, if you recall, I mentioned how she pays very close attention to detail. And the attention to detail is what was emphasized, one of the biggest things that was emphasized in that workshop, the attention to detail and being able to visualize first what it is that you want created and then find the language to convey that idea. And when I saw what she was able to create with the details that she added and how descriptive she was versus the output that she got, I was like, oh, well, that's why. Part of the reason why. Part of the reason why. But it was very powerful to see that. And so being able to see that the problem is not the tool. You can use whatever tool to figure it out, but what you really need to know is how do I put this together? You know, what information do I need? Where do I need, what direction am I going in? Like, the thing, it starts up here. And I'll leave it at that because I could kind of go on a little roundabout talking about that. So this makes this makes this makes the way that she thinks, this makes her combo, her aesthetic and lateral thinking combo, a very powerful presence when it comes to this technological shift that we're experiencing. I mean, I don't even know if it will be a shift. It feels like an evolution. It feels like a transition period. I think that's probably the best way to put it. It's like a technology transition. I wanted to say that differently, but that's how it came out. We're gonna go with that. It's a technology transition that we are currently experiencing. And so having somebody that is able to do the things that she does and build trust are very important in helping us to navigate it and discover, where we fall and how much of it we want to participate in. Yup, yup, yup. So let me see what y'all are saying. You do. I felt like you did. So let me know if what I'm describing sounds like her, because I have not met her personally, but I've observed for a long time, and so I felt like this was like nailing her creative expression. Adrian says, yes, quality is a thinking problem, not a tool problem. All right, all right, all right. We here. Y'all hear Chanel barking in the background. Yes. Let me see. One more came up. I agree. There is a transition happening, and it is important to be able to critically think and direct AI accordingly. Yes. Yes. Critical thinking. I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you brought that up. Yes. So we're in a very interesting time right now. So being able to stand out, being able to serve people and work with them, there's a lot that we can learn even if we're not aesthetic thinkers just from this case study. And the key lessons I want y'all to take away from this, regardless of which one yours is that we are trust is important. Trust is key. And being able to understand that and to hold it in high regards when it comes to what you create, what you put out, is going to take you so much further than being the most creative person, than being the most gifted person, to having the most money. Like it's going to trump all of that, because that is where community is built. That's where those connections are built. And that's what we need people to that's the connection that we need to develop with our people. So building trust, take these lessons, y'all, because she's done them masterfully. And I love being able to like break this down and share it with y'all. Yes, this sounds like her as she has grown and is fully embodying her identity. Yay! Look at that. Look at that. Okay. So her audiences don't trust her because she's loud, because she's the most boisterous person, or even because she's early, because she's not the first person that I've seen talk about AI twins. I've seen tons of people talking about AI twins for a very long time. I just haven't been convinced. I just haven't been convinced. They look cool, but not for me. So her approach to it was unique, and it was the one that stood out to me as, okay, I trust her to invest in this class and learn more. And so they trust her because she makes unconventional tools feel safe, because she makes skepticism feel respected. Okay, that's a really big one. And she makes creativity feel expansive, not risky. And it like I told y'all, the after the workshop, it had me thinking, "Oh, wow. I could try this, or maybe I could put this outfit together, or I can see if AI can make me put me in a jungle, or I don't know what background I want, but it felt like it was expanding my mind, and it made me want to be more creative with graphic design of all things. And I anybody who makes me want to design stuff graphically, that's an influential person, cuz It's not my favorite, y'all. It's not my favorite. Like I've never like, "Ooh, yay, I get to work on a graphic." That's why I don't do carousels on Instagram for real cuz graphics. Why can't I just record a video? Anybody else? Just me? Okay, y'all. So we're the next part we're gonna get into. We're gonna talk about the directions. I believe it's four. I have four different directions that I see her being able to take this in, not to change or shift what she's doing, but really to add to it and to take it to some new levels. I was very inspired watching her and seeing how she navigates this space, is particularly AI, and how she navigates it and how she shows up to talk about it. And I want to get into what I see it growing into because it's still relatively early in her marketing this, these classes and taking this stance and this approach. I'm not sure when the classes started, but I believe that I've only seen her marketing them for maybe the like last few weeks. So it's something that is it's a new venture, a new avenue to a certain extent. So yeah, let me see. I see one more comment. I'm gonna read this and then we're gonna keep on rolling. I know who she is and have followed her as well. She did a pivot, I think, about a year ago in her messaging and approach to explaining the why behind her work, not just showing her work, which set the stage. Yes, I know Kendra because we live in the same community. So it has been a joy witnessing her boldness and confidence. Oh wow. You gotta tell me what community. That's so cool. I felt like you did though. I found out about her from it might have been you, or somebody within our group that told me about her. That's when I found out about her. So let's get into the directions, y'all. So this is the fun part. So how can we take what she's already done and expand it even more? All right. What I will say is that although these are specific to her business, these are things that might be relevant for you within your own respective place. So if you do feel like that, if it feels like it's resonating with you, I would love to hear it. So let me know in the chat if the direction that I'm describing feels like it's doing something. Like if you feel it down in your shondo, like, ooh, that's giving me a little tickle. Like I feel like that feels like it's aligning with me. Let me know because I would love to hear if you see yourself expanding in some of these ways. So the first one is going from a tool educator to taste authority in emerging tech. And this is something that I feel if you are going to talk about AI and if you are promoting it, especially if AI is a very prominent part of what you're talking about, you kind of have to take this stance. Now, you don't have to be like the spokesperson for AI, but you do have to have some like firm, like, you have to hold your authority when it comes to it because of the nature of the field and how people feel about it right now. So this will look like on the what this will look like visually is that she stops being seen primarily as someone who teaches Canva or how to make AI twins, and she becomes someone who teaches you good what good looks like with these tools. And that's actually something that she's already doing. And I feel like yeah, it's very interesting. I felt like I saw it coming, but she's been talking about merging the two together. So the AI twin and Canva and bringing them both back into the equation together because of the way that both tools can create powerful brand assets when you know how to use them and the ways that business owners can use this to build their business and to grow. So I feel like this is a direction that she's already moving in, if that makes sense. So this can show up how she could show up talking about this in this direction is having content that talks about things like why most AI visuals feel off. Again, she talks about this in the workshop. I believe that it can actually come outside of the workshop and the people will still come to the workshop. Like a few people will still connect and resonate with her, but it was something that I felt like would have been cool to see broken down just in the general marketing. Another one is the difference between realistic and believable. And there are some key things that like she touched on and talked about that makes the photo really come to life, and the key behind it looking like an AI image to it looking like a photo shoot, right? That you actually sat down and took. Another way that this can show up is where tech breaks visual trust and how to protect your brand. That one is a very, 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 very big one that I think can be tapped into even more. And honestly, I feel like somebody needs to. I think that people have talked about it, but when they do talk about AI ruining your brand visuals, they don't actually give you they don't actually give you anything to work with. In fact, a lot of times I see people talk about it and they're like opposed to AI. And so they're what they're saying and what they're basically promoting is don't use it at all because it looks bad. And I don't feel like that's what you should be telling people either. If people want to use it and there are people that want to teach them how to use it better, then just let them be the ones to speak on it. Like I don't it's weird to me when people do that. Like don't do that. Don't be that person. Don't be that person. But the reason why this would be a strength is because it's teaching visual discernment. Okay, visual discernment, not just execution. And that's a part of the thing that we mentioned earlier that's empowering, which is already right in line with how she functions and how she operates already. This would just be taking it to another level and leaning into this direction fully, like going into it like this is what I want to stand on. And so this fits her creative thinking style because aesthetic thinkers are naturally about the taste of things. Like they're curators, they know how to bring together the stuff that looks good. They understand the harmony, they understand the layout of the designs. Like they are very inclined to those things. Lateral thinkers excel at naming why something feels wrong when others just say it's bad. So they don't just generalize, like they can be very particular and specific about the what. And that's what makes their reframes so powerful because they're not just speaking on the surface, they're actually speaking to the actual problem. Another thing is that this positions her above the tools, not just dependent on them. And I believe that that might have been the inspiration, part of the inspiration behind speaking more and transitioning to using her personal brand rather than the social docs, because there is like she didn't want to just be the Canva person. She didn't want to just be the Canva girl. She wanted to be somebody who is a brand expert, no branding expert, and who can help you to create assets that that preserve and even elevate your brand and shows you that it's accessible. So it's a way to expand beyond just, Canva girl, AI girl, fashion girl. Like I don't know what kind of girl do y'all want to not be? Put the girl you don't want to be in the chat, but it helps you to expand beyond that by digging deeper into the why, and it really positions her like a thought leader and not just a teacher, not just an educator. So, some things to avoid for this direction. One thing is being overly critical or being elitist. Again, we don't want to get into the fear mongering. We definitely don't want it to start creeping into people feeling like shamed or like you're talking down at them or like you're making them feel like like they don't know anything, like things like that. It can be a fine line, and it can be a challenge, especially when it comes to the AI debate. Like it can be very easy to slip into something else real fast. So she has to be cautious of that, and aware of that, and then also continue to reframe taste as something that is learnable, not innate. And that's something that I don't think that she will ever have a problem with, unless she just completely like catches amnesia and forgets who she is, because she always reminds people of how she started, and that she was not someone who was this design person who's all like always known how to do this. Like, she shows where she started, even in the workshop she does. And so she shows the progress, and it never feels like something that you can't do too. So I don't think that there's any problems there, but you know, is there for the caution. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, let me see. You signed up for that class in December? Yes. Did you like it? We both lived in Washington State. Oh, okay. Okay. I don't want to be I don't want to be reduced to only the HR or career girl. Yes. Yes, I love it. Thank you for sharing yours. Okay, y'all. Direction number 2 goes from how to make it look good to how to protect brand credibility. And this is the part, okay? This is the part that I feel personally passionate about, because I don't think that people realize that what they do matters. Like, how you show up matters, how you talk matters, the visuals you create matters. It all matters. It all should be intentional. It should have a rhyme or reason. It doesn't it should have a reason. It should be intentional. I won't get into all the other stuff, but the credibility, I just don't think that people realize how much just the look impacts the way that people perceive you and perceive your brand. So this looks like reframing her work around reputation and trust, not visuals alone. And this is one that I would personally like to see, because it can be challenging to connect those dots for myself. Not saying she has to make it clear for me, but it doesn't hurt. You know, if you want people to buy, making it clear, it would definitely be in your best interest. But it was hard for me to see where this fit in what I was already doing. And the being able to see that connection be made would have probably persuaded me a little bit more. But in general, showing how your brand elements, the visual aspects of it, can be a powerful tool in building trust just by themselves. So this could look like how this could show up. I just got a video idea. I got to definitely talk about that later. This can show up as messaging shifts from make your designs look professional to don't accidentally undermine your credibility with bad visuals or lazy AI, which goes into what we were talking about earlier about AI has damaged some people's brands already. It's already damaged the trust and the reputation that honestly, you may not have really built one yet, but it does have an impact, and people do engage differently based on how you use it. So the topics like visual red flags that quietly damage trust, that would be a very, very effective video to do, a series of videos, honestly. Why some brands feel cheap even with good tools, how inconsistency erodes perception faster than imperfection. That is a word right there, because the inconsistency, it makes people start looking at you differently. Like, hold up, like why are you switching up on me? Like, what's happening here? And we feel like if we're not perfect, if we don't have it together, if we don't have the right background, if we don't have the right camera, that's the thing that makes us not look credible. And what it really is, that you being one person one way, and then the next day it's like, what? My like That's like me saying my brand colors are orange, and then tomorrow I'm like, yeah, y'all, so it's purple. It's been orange for years. What are we doing? And then why is it green on Friday? Just switching it up and just inconsistent all over the place. So highlighting those things when it comes to your branding assets, your brand assets is a very powerful way to make that shift. So this fits her thinking style because aesthetic thinkers are highly attuned to how things read socially. Like they can mile away spot it. Her lateral thinking allows her to reveal like invisible consequences that others miss. So she's able to see, because she's a pattern breaker, she's able to catch those things and to spot the it's still inconsistencies, but she's able to spot the like the why and the what and like where it went wrong or what could shift. And then this deepens perceived seriousness without losing approachability. So it basically raises the stakes for business owners, for entrepreneurs to actually want to take her classes and actually want to work with her, because now if what I'm doing right now is damaging trust, which is directly impacting people spending money with me, easy, easy fix. When's the next class? Sign me up. So, things to avoid with this direction is leaning too far into fear, and that the tone must remain protective, not alarmist. So, again, we're not trying to fear monger, we're not trying to manipulate people. We're simply presenting information and insight that people may not be aware of and letting them know where to go to fix it. Okay? All right. How are we feeling so far? Any of these directions feeling like is y'all? Let me see. Adrian says, let me tell y'all, Jada is going to make sure you understand why it matters and how to keep the integrity of your brand so it remains credible and true. The best experience I've had working with anyone. Oh, thank you, Adrian. Audrey says she sure does. It is always a great experience working with Jada. Thank y'all. Oh, y'all, I really do appreciate y'all. I think about y'all all the time. And it's just fond memories, fond thoughts. Y'all make me so proud. Okay, let's get into direction 3, which is going from creator education to brand teams and founders. This is an especially exciting one. I don't know if she does this already. This may be something that she doesn't market broadly. Maybe she sticks to the workshops for her page, and I don't know what the back end looks like. I don't know what kind of work she has going on with teams and things of that matter, but if she's not, here are some things to consider. So this would look like speaking to small brand teams, founders, marketing teams, and to consultants. So not just solo creators. And I don't know, she didn't actually ask whether people were solo or teams. I usually assume that most people are solo, but talking to the teams, talking to the people who got a couple of people working with them is a very powerful shift that she can make. And one that I know for a fact that many of these brands need to hire her for immediately, yesterday, because what are you doing with AI? Some of the stuff I'm just like, what? Who's buying this? Do y'all be feeling like that too? Like just genuine confusion, genuine confusion. So here's how this could show up as content. Things like why brand teams misuse AI and how to fix it, how to scale visuals without losing cohesion, which is a very, very good one, and when accessible tools help brands and when they hurt them. All right, I ain't gonna harp on that one too much. Another thing that she can have is workshops or trainings that's focusing on the guardrails, not creativity explosions. So, giving people guidelines and giving them parameters and things that help them to still explore, to still be creative. No one's trying to stifle anyone's creativity, but also being able to do that within a space where you understand the identity and you understand how, again, how important that trust and that credibility is. So being able to do that but on a larger scale is a very cool shift that I would like to see for her. So this fits her thinking style, both of her thinking styles, because they're both excellent at translating standards across contexts. So, especially when it comes to like what is the standard for the visuals, that's where they shine. So, her aesthetic and lateral thinking bring those both to the forefront. She already reframes tools. This is just reframing for a different audience. So it's literally doing the same work just on a bigger scale. Also, it would require some shifts in the way that she talks about it. So not just making it accessible, but emphasizing more of the importance. Like if you're already using it, here's how you can do it better, and here is how we do this in a way that maintains the brand's integrity. So I really see a lot of opportunity with that, and I feel like if she does make that switch in the messaging, that it will click for so many people. Like so many people will be like, oh, I do see I see the problem now. I said, actually, I do want to do this better. So I think that is, in my opinion, that's just what I see that's missing. That disconnect is there for me. So yes, the last reason why this fits her style is because visual legitimacy carries even more weight in these environments. The stakes are higher. All right, let's just keep it real. Stakes are higher. It holds a lot of weight. People's jobs are on the line. As an entrepreneur, as a solo creator, you're not going to lose your job because you made a bad graphic or because it's off. You probably won't make money, but nobody's going to fire you, but it's jobs on the line. There's a team doing this. So it's very important for those guidelines to be communicated and understood, and for people to know how to use the tools effectively. So some things to avoid with this is over systematizing, and there's a lot of, you know, bureaucracy when it comes to these bigger businesses and companies, and there's a lot of steps just to do something as simple as posting on Threads, right? Posting on Instagram. There's so many steps to it. And so not making it so complicated and making it so like steps heavy that people can't actually implement it, and it stifles people's creativity. Another thing to avoid is if the frameworks become too heavy, then she drifts out of her strengths. And that was one thing that I felt was very cool about the workshop, is that it wasn't very like step 1, step 2, step 3. Like it wasn't so rigid. It had an ease to it and a flow, and that was what ultimately made me decide that aligns more with a lateral thinker and not a systems thinker, because it is not as it's just not as steps heavy. It doesn't have as many. And I think that if she leans too far into that, it becomes too rigid and it takes her outside of her strengths. So the avoiding those two things, like not feeling the pressure to make it super buttoned up and super professional and have step 1, step 2, step 3, but being firm and this is still how I do this. I'm just doing it on a bigger scale, and not losing herself in that evolution is going to be important, and that's important for all of us. As we go up, as we transition, as we level up, there can be this feeling that we need to be more serious now, we need to be more professional, or we have to start changing up who we are in order to be accepted into these rooms or to be taken seriously. And so this is something that we can all take to heart, that don't change what's working for you because it's working for you for a reason. You don't have to switch it up to find success in these places. If she needs a system, get a systems thinker. That's as simple as that. If you need systems and you are not a systems thinker, just get one. Just get one. Work with one. Let them be the ones responsible for it. You stay in your zone of genius. Okay. Our last direction is teaching creators how to think, not just design. Going back to the critical thinking, Audrey. So what this looks like is she makes her implicit thinking process explicit. So it's not just here's what I did, here's how I decide what works. And the best creators do this. I love it. I love getting to hear how someone's mind works and how they came to a conclusion, how they came to this decision. And I'm just generally a very curious person, which is what I believe makes me good at what I do, because I genuinely am interested. I genuinely want to know. Y'all be thinking that y'all fields are boring, like, oh, it's just accounting. No, I don't know what it is about me, but I am genuinely interested. And so being able to understand people's thought process, I learned so much from that, even if they don't tell me what to do. Just being able to hear it it empowers me to take that and then to do some more thinking of my own, to document my thought process on it and then to figure out what conclusion I'm coming to based on what I've observed. So that is a very powerful thing that she has at her disposal. So here's how this could show up. It can be behind the scenes breakdowns. It can be decision tree for visual choices. It can be explaining trade offs calmly and teaching people how to evaluate realism, cohesion, and credibility. And so this is another, y'all, I feel like this could just be like a whole workshop on its own, or it can be a training. Like there's so many options with this, but this is one sure, for sure, I know is underutilized. And it's again from me watching it, watching the content, paying attention. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for this one right here. And this would be a very powerful, incredible tool for her to lean into, because this will not only build trust with people because we're watching you show us why. We're watching your brain work. But it also is one that empowers people to think for themselves. Literally, we're helping people to be critical thinkers by just sharing our thought process. So that one is, I love that direction. And I think that direction should be taken regardless of wherever she goes with this. That one is an incredibly powerful one for her platform and who she's talking to. So this fits her thinking style because aesthetic thinkers are often intuitive. So making intuitive legible increases authority. And the simplest way for you to do that is by explaining your why. Why did you make that decision? Why did you do that? What were you thinking when you chose red instead of green? Like how did you come up with that? That's the one of the purest, simplest ways to be able to do that. Another reason why this fits her creative thinking style as a lateral thinker, because lateral thinkers are good at naming mental shortcuts and blind spots, because they're pattern breakers. That one of the things they're always asking is, why are we doing it this way? Why this way? Why like this? Always asking why, like what is that about? What's happening? What's inspiring this? Another reason why this fits her thinking style is because this builds deep trust and long-term relevance. And if you just like, a fun tip, just toss this at you. A really powerful way to not only remain relevant, but to also navigate periods where you are personally transitioning or when your business is evolving, is to show the why. Like taking this direction is a powerful tool during transition periods. So instead of telling people, the reason why it's so powerful, I have to say this part. I can't sit on this one, okay? The reason why it's so powerful is because when you are pivoting and when you are changing, when you're growing, you're adding a new offer. You're presenting this information in a workshop. You've never done a workshop before, right? Like you are evolving and you're trying new things. people are going to people are going to resonate and connect to you just explaining or demonstrating, showing the why did you make that choice? How did you come to that? Like, and it not only does it build that curiosity, but it's like documenting your credibility in real time. And that's a person that people can trust. It's very similar to how a lot of people now are telling founders to build in public and to not be afraid to try things and fail at it publicly, not being afraid to put it out there and to be more willing to like bring people behind the veil. That is one of those reasons why, because like we said, we're in a transition period when it comes to tech. We're transitioning in a lot of ways, and we don't know what we're doing. We don't. We live in life. We're all figuring things out. And so being able to show people that, it also kind of cushions what you can't show necessarily with testimonials, or you can't necessarily say I helped client so and so achieve this amount of money, or I helped them get these results, because what you're doing in the way that you're doing it is new for you. So that helps you to fill in those gaps where the results and the testimonials may not be there just yet, right? So things to avoid with this direction is over explaining. I understand that one intimately. Another thing is that she must keep explanations digestible and elegant. So basically, like, just don't talk over people's heads. Make it, don't throw it all at them at once. Try to contain it or keep it to a specific point. But avoiding those things will make sure that going in that direction will yield some good results for her. So let me see. Okay. Adrian says, you will love the assessment. I did it myself and also had my team experience it as well. Everything said was spot on and gave them so much language they needed and provided clarity. Oh, right in the comment section. I got to make sure I screenshot that. This is so good, Jada. I'm so glad you think so. I believe in the past she was working with a systems thinker, period. Curiosity is your superpower. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. All right, y'all. So we are winding down. We're getting to the end of this case study. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. I feel like you did. I like this one. I really did like this one, and I'm glad that I waited until I took the class to actually do this video, because she ended up being the perfect example for an aesthetic thinker. So I'm very pleased with how all of this panned out, even with my technical difficulties yesterday. Goodness gracious. Ooh, okay. So here's the pattern across all the directions that I listed. She keeps taste as the anchor. So no matter what she does, taste is always the anchor. Uses reframing instead of persuasion, protects the audience's identity, and positions her above the tools, not attached to them. Okay, period. The tools don't make the woman. The woman makes the tools. And if she ever feels pressure to chase trends faster, be louder to compete, or overprove her expertise, that's a signal that she's drifting away from her natural trust engine. And I think that that one is a very powerful way to check in and to see if you are still in alignment. Do I feel like I'm being pressured to be anything outside of where my genius is, where my skill set is, where I naturally build trust? If I feel that pull, that's a signal that I need to whoop, get back in alignment. So, here is our conclusion, guys. She scales by becoming more referential, the person others check against, the voice that clarifies confusion, the taste that filters in noisy spaces. Those are the things that are going to help her to scale this current direction that she's in. So that's a long-term power of an aesthetic and lateral thinker. Okay. I'm seeing if I even want to read this the way I wrote it down. I don't. I don't want to read it that way. Okay. I will say it this way. I'll conclude it like this. So, in conclusion, in summary, all of her skills, her aesthetic thinking, her lateral thinking, both brings the taste and it also brings the reframing, and together that is what makes her so powerful at what she does. And the great thing about it is that she has naturally been leaning into this, whether she knows her creative thinking style or not, and that is what's made her somebody that people trust. That is what has helped her to target and catch the people that sounds very aggressive, but to attract, I'll use that word, to attract the people that need what she has, that resonate with the way that she does it. And ultimately, when they walk away from working with her or attending one of her classes, they feel empowered. They feel like their minds have been expanded and they feel like they still get to be themselves. They don't feel like they have been conditioned or pressured into being anybody but themselves. And all of those makes this combo what it is and why it makes her so incredible, so amazing, so brilliant. And I had such a great time breaking this down. And that's what I got, y'all. That is it. That is the end of our aesthetic thinker case study. Yay! I need sound effects over here. Okay, I didn't miss anything new. All right, y'all. So, thank you so much for hanging out. I hope that you enjoyed it. Like I said already, I'm making sure I said everything that I want to say while I'm on this live stream. Um, Thursday, that's tomorrow, because today is Wednesday, because I couldn't go live yesterday. Whew. Okay, I'm all turned around. Tomorrow, I, man, that's so close. That's so close. Be on standby, y'all. Be on standby. This I feel like this everything just like got shifted this week. Be on standby. Tomorrow should be should be where we talk about the aesthetic thinker across the board. That's where we do the breakdown of the thinking type by itself. And then that means that our final videos in this series are going to be the inspirational thinker. That's all we got left. If you missed any of the thinking styles, make sure you go back and check out the creative thinking style playlist. This video will be in that playlist shortly. I didn't add it to it yet, but I will be adding it to it. I also posted the link to get your creative thinking style assessment done. And I finally made it a standalone service again because people keep asking me about it. Like in real life, I'm not just saying that because it sounds cool. People have literally been asking me about it. And so I was like, okay, I'll take it out and I will offer it as a standalone service. And so inside of it, you will learn your creative thinking style. You will also get to ask questions. It'll be like a mini strategy session. I feel like that may be the best way to describe it because it is a unique experience, especially in the results that everybody gets. Everybody experiences it differently. But what we can do after you take the assessment, it's about 15 to 20 minutes, 10 questions that I ask you. And then you'll get an entire profile along with the ability to talk about content, the direction that you're going in with your content, the rhythm at which you create the content, business ideas. That was the one I didn't think of earlier. I was talking about this business ideas. If you are in a place where you are pivoting and you're trying to figure out what it looks like to take your skills, take your creativity, and create an offer for those things. So we can talk about any of those directions. You're most likely going to only have time for us to go in one direction, but you will leave with your thinking style and a light strategy that you can begin implementing now that you have this new information about your brain and how it works. So if you scroll up in the chat, you can book the session that way. I will also be putting it in the description box. And I'm looking forward to doing these with y'all. I haven't missed yet, you know, not humbly speaking. All right. I will not be humble about this one. I have not missed yet. These is getting creepy at this point. How spot on, how accurate these creative thinking styles are. And if y'all have been even just like watching the case studies that I've been doing, and I've been able to like decipher people's thinking styles. And when they watch the videos, they're like, yeah, this is exactly me. I feel like you got me to a T. Like, how did you do that? I'm just saying, extremely accurate. On point. So I can't wait to do more of them. They're so fun. And I think that it gives people an opportunity to be honest about what they want and to be courageous enough to go for it and to try. I have a lot of thoughts on that, and people ending up in spaces where they're doing things in their business that they don't want to do. Like you've created a business doing something that you don't enjoy. You're taking on clients, you're taking on work that does not make sense for who you are and how you were designed. And so I'm honored that I get to be the person that comes in and record scratch and redirect this thing, because I I cannot explain to y'all how good it feels when it is aligned, when you are doing things that the passion is there, the clarity in what you're doing and how you're doing it and who you're talking to is there. You get to create content in a way that feels like when you put it out there, it's potent, like it's hitting people differently. And I have been the recipient of this for myself when I realized what my creative thinking style was. My content, especially over here on YouTube, y'all, it has been something different. It's been something different. And at this stage, it has been the most pleasant I've felt when it comes to making content, even though it's not the most creative content that I can make. I can do much more extravagant things and have more complicated edits. Like I have a lot that I could do. And I have made more creative content in that regard in the past. But this is the one that feels sustainable, and it is evident that it's sustainable because I've managed to maintain a very healthy pace when it comes to posting over here. So I really want y'all to like just like take all of that into consideration and think about where you are, where how you're feeling about your content, how you're feeling about your business right now, and think about if it's something that you would like to have. Like if you need that clarity, it's worth taking a chance and seeing like maybe you've just been doing it wrong because you didn't understand how your brain works. You didn't understand your creativity. But when you do, there's just so much power in it. So those are available, assessments are available. And I'm going to make that the only thing that I talk about today, because I will talk about everything that I have to offer. But that's what I want us to focus on right now, because I see the need for it. So that's what I got for y'all. That's what I got. Let's see. Adrian says, I've been telling everyone about the assessment. Glad it's a standalone offer. Yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is. I wanted to do it. It was for a period of time, and then I took it down. And I feel now that I've done a few more of them, I'm like, okay, I know what this looks like now. I know how to do this. So it's out there. So that's all I got for y'all tonight. I'm about to head off. Have an amazing night. I will do my best. If you don't follow me over on IG, make sure you're following me on Instagram, and I will post in my stories what the move is going to be tomorrow. Um, and yeah, so that's it, you guys. Have a good night. Stay safe, stay warm, and I'll talk to y'all in the next video. Bye.